Okay, today we're going through the top 5 worst Warhammer 40,000 takes, and we have 2 bonus takes that are so uniquely terrible, we really just couldn't leave it out. This is in reference to competitive Warhammer 40,000, so if you're a casual viewer, you're going to really enjoy it as we talk about all the crap that's talked about competitive 40k. So now listen, I'm not making this video to bully anyone. But these takes do come from places like Reddit, Discord debates, random Facebook groups, and sometimes even I hear from decent players who've just convinced themselves of some freaking nonsense. And I know that in my relationship with my friends, when they say something stupid, I'm going to mock them relentlessly for it. Not to, well, actually, maybe to bully them a little. Not to actually bully them, but to help them see the ridiculousness of some of their statements and help them grow as people, as my friends do to me constantly. And I'm sure in your friend group, it's going to be the same. So I'm poking fun of people in this video because I want you to improve. If you've said any of these takes before, don't worry, we've all been there. I said dumb stuff before. I'll say dumb stuff again, guaranteed. But if you keep saying these specific things, well, yeah, you're going to get roasted just a freaking little bit. So let's get on to these top 5 takes. And as we realize that these are actually terrible, terrible takes, you guys are going to learn how to replace these thoughts and ideas with better ideas that's going to make you a much better player of Warhammer 40,000. So, number 5, my army just cannot compete. Yes, the classic, my army can't compete. Meanwhile, there's someone else at a tournament with the exact same army that just went 4-1. Look, this almost will always mean I lost, I don't know why I lost, and I'm blaming my faction because my faction is just, it's easier than learning. And this just isn't true. If you want to say that armies can't function even when they're, objectively a little bit lesser power than other armies, look no further than my friend Ridvin, who is the founder and the personality behind Scardcast. If you guys don't know Scary from Scardcast, he's an amazing player, and he is basically a Drukhari only player. He plays Drukhari when they're amazing. He plays Drukhari when they suck. He's gonna go 5th at I think he might have been 4th at the LVO when Drukhari were like the lowest win rate in the game. Guys, he's living proof that if you are good with your army and you learn how to play Warhammer, you're going to be good at Warhammer. Yes, of course it helps when your army is better, and it hurts when your army is worse. I'm not saying that army power and due to different balancing mechanisms from 40k or from Warhammer and Games Workshop in general, that it doesn't matter for how you're going to perform, but the reality is that you're probably not losing if it's your army, unless it is, of course, Imperial Agents, which sadly is not really a real army. GW has basically written them off as just a meme. But the game's not perfectly balanced, and there are bad data sheets. 95% of the time, the real issue in a game of 40k is the fact that you sequenced wrong, you positioned wrong, you messed up your activation economy, your secondary planning, your train usage, blah, blah, blah. Your codex really is not holding you back nearly as much as your fundamentals. I promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, there is not a single codex in the game that I cannot go 3-2 at a GT with. Now, I'm not saying I can go win a GT with anything, but I can go 3-2 at basically any GT with any codex in the game if you give me a little bit of prep time. Not Imperial Agents. I actually might not be able to do that. Just to get it out there. So here's a way that we're going to do things. We're going to correct our mindset. It's not that your codex is holding you back. It's that you're going to start asking the question, what does my army do well, and how do I lean into that to really counter the current meta? So that's what I want you guys thinking. All right, take number 4. Dice lost me the game. Yeah, you've heard this one, but the next ones you haven't. So Dice lost me the game. That's a pretty big one. Dice screwed me. Yes. Sometimes the toaster will burn your freaking bread. I get it. But it doesn't mean the entire kitchen is all against you. So here's the truth. Most games are not going to be decided by dice. They're actually going to be decided by, sounds like we just said this, your movement, your positioning, your activation sequencing, your threat evaluation, and your scoring discipline. Dice only feel like they decide the game because your brain is going to remember emotional spikes, but they're not going to remember the 20 small mistakes that were before those big dice errors. So, I've lost games because I rolled snake eyes into snake eyes on a charge. But would I have been in a position where I would have lost the game had I just been smarter about my primary play earlier in the game? No. Dice are the easy thing to blame. But if you're always blaming dice, you're never going to improve as a player because you're not going to be able to rationally justify how to improve as a player, because you're not going to be actually thinking about what you did wrong and how to improve the things under your control. One of the most cool things about Warhammer 40,000, it's an extremely empowering game because every single game I've ever played, I can always trace down why I lost to what I did wrong. And you can too if you just put your noggin towards it. If you need help, you can always book coaching, and I promise you, I will point out your flaws in coaching. So, guys, the correct mindset isn't going to be dice screwed me. It's going to be how could I have played so average dice wins anyway? How could I have had such average dice and still win? I could have won even with average dice. I could have won even with bad dice. How could I have figured it out? That's what you're going to want to ask yourself. All right, number 3. We're going to go right on into it. This unit is busted and you can't counter it. Yeah. I'm talking to you, Reddit. I'm talking to you, everyone in my comment section saying I'm ridiculous for saying Victrix aren't busted. Like, this is one of my absolute favorites. A unit deletes someone's, like, elite unit in one activation, and suddenly it's Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. No. Stop. Every broken unit. All right, well, maybe not every broken unit, but the term broken in general just needs to be redefined. When we use the term broken, what you should be referring to is mechanics. Does this mechanics of this unit actually break the normal mechanics of the game? Does it mean that you can't counterplay it? If you can't counterplay and it does break the normal mechanics of the game, okay, I would accept the term busted or broken. That would be fine. Now, I'm not also not up here saying that Victrix might not be a little too powerful. If I were to in charge of GW's balance status slate, what I would do is I would leave everything exactly the same, leave the points exactly the same, but I would reduce their attacks from 5 attacks each to 4 attacks each. That's what I would do. I do think they're probably a little bit too strong. But saying that they're busted is such a bad take because it's going to make you lean on the fact that you're losing because it's busted and not actually exercise your brain to learn how to conquer problems, because there are problems. So every single broken unit in the game, they're going to shine in 1 or 2 phases, and they're going to struggle in 1 or 2 phases. It really depends on the delivery of the unit. But they're going to have weaknesses baked into the unit. So the Victrix, for example, they have no invulnerable save. They're only T4, even if they are -1 to be wounded. Things like this. Pros are always going to ask the questions, what enables this unit and how many resources does enabling that unit really cost? Well, in a Victrix's case, it's going to be, well, it's the character that enables them. Without the character, they lose the -1 to be wounded. Without the character, they lose a lot of their functionality. So how much resources does that cost? Well, it costs almost half the cost of the freaking unit. And then what does the opponent sacrifice to take it? They sacrifice a lot of other units. And 9 times out of 10, the uncounterable thing is just you're misunderstanding the timing of the unit. You're misunderstanding how it interacts with terrain. You're misunderstanding how you positioned in such a bad way that allowed your opponent to take advantage of it. It's not actual invincibility. And before I hear it in the comments, yes, I know Ultramarines are crushing it in tournaments the last 2 weeks. They're going to get a nerf. Breathe, everybody. But even if they don't get a nerf, if you just put a little bit of time into thinking about how to counter them, you're going to figure it out. There is a counter for every unit in the game. There were counters for Inari when Inari was actually broken. People beat Inari when Inari was actually broken in this edition, guys. Things will be fine. Let's go into the second of all bad takes here. I can't play what I want because the meta list is X. I hear this one all the time. And this one actually, I'm going to blame us on YouTube for this. This is actually our fault for putting this one out there. This is the take where players are basically saying, I can't win unless I copy-paste what the internet told me. This hurts me to hear, and it hurts me to read. But I actually am going to go ahead and say that we, as YouTubers, 40K YouTubers, are to blame for this. Because we say, Unit X is good, Unit X is bad. Because tier lists do really, really freaking well for YouTube metrics, and that's how we, pay our bills. But it's not really that simple. Meta lists are going to be good because they solve scoring, they solve tempo, they solve delivery, and they really simplify decisions. But you can absolutely play off meta lists and still kick teeth in if you master the fundamentals your list requires. The real meaning of this take is I don't want to learn matchups, so I'm just going to blame the net list. No, listen. What a meta list is, it's a list that a popular player has made that has getting repeatable results. Most likely that means that this army has a good, solid game plan. There are tons of ways to play armies and play them really, really well. If you guys follow my journey or my content, dudes, I am consistently one of the better players in the world, and I am always taking completely off meta list. It's the way it works. You can make things shine if you have a game plan for what you are doing. So we're going to correct this mindset. It's not I can't play what I want because I have to take X list. No, it's what does my list do better than the meta list? And then when you find the answer to that, and there's almost always going to be an answer for it if you're doing intelligent list building, then you're going to be able to figure out the game plan for your army, and you're going to play what you want to play, but you're going to play it well. Now, that doesn't mean that you can play literally whatever you want to play. If you want to play, I don't know, 120 freaking Gretchen, chances are it's not going to be the best. Although there's an army out there that has done actually decently well with that. So like even that is an example of how you can do it. Freaking Nemo, Wesley St. Hines, the guy who won LVO, he won with 220 plus guardsmen. All right, that's a list that everyone's going to say is a freaking meme and it can't win, but he won LVO with it, and he did really well at the World Championships of Warhammer with it. Play the list that you like, but just make sure that you have actual thought process and design to the list competitively. I'm not talking about fluff-wise. So there's always going to be an answer. All right, and the number one, and after this one, I've got two bonuses that we're just we're definitely going to talk about, so stick around for it. Number one, this unit sucks because it died. the king of bad takes. This is where someone loses a unit once from a dice spike, and then they decide that the datasheet must be garbage for forever. Example, the lion died to bolter fire. He is useless. I promise you, I have had the lion roll nothing but fail. Yes, he's got a 3 invulnerable save, and I have had him roll 0 invulnerable saves like 6 games in a row, and then he just completely dies each time. Does that mean the unit is bad, or does it mean that I have a series of unfortunate events? Or maybe does it mean that I've been playing him wrong and exposing him to firepower where I shouldn't be exposing him to firepower? So basically, no. I just experienced statistical anomalies caused by being out of position, not screening, not respecting line of sight, or simply bad luck. And occasionally, yes, bad luck does exist. I recognize this. But the mistake isn't the unit. The mistake is turning an anomaly into doctrine. When pros test units, we're always going to ask questions like, what does this unit do on average? How does it trade over a tournament's worth of games? Not one game. What role does this unit fill? So we're going to stop turning emotional memories into strategic rules, and we're going to actually, play Intelligent Warhammer. So I've got some bonus takes for you guys. These are spicy, so hang around for them. Bonus number 1. Practicing Warhammer is stupid. I actually got this in a comment on one of my videos, and this was pretty hilarious. I actually had someone comment this, saying practicing is stupid in a game with complex movement, layered timing rules, positioning, scoring discipline, dozens of matchups, terrain systems, list archetypes. That's like saying that you're gonna try to run a freaking marathon without ever jogging. Practice isn't sweaty. Practice is familiarity. It's comfort. It's knowing your army so you can enjoy the game more. It's a complicated game, and it's our hobby. Is every single person who ever practices their swing in golf like a freaking nerd? Well, they might be nerds, but yeah, but who cares? It's okay to practice at things that you care about. Is it weird to practice the guitar because you want to play Through the Fire and Flames? No, it's not weird. As a matter of fact, it's awesome, and you're a rock star. You should do it more. Could you imagine telling freaking Magnus Carlsen, bro, chill, it's just a board game. Blah. That's the same energy I get from these tired, boring comments on YouTube where people are like, how dare you actually practice and try to be better at a game? That's so freaking dumb. All right, and then the last bonus one I got for you guys today, and I'm going to cut you loose. YouTuber X said unit is bad. Now, I'm going to take the piss on myself here just a little bit because I've definitely done this. This might secretly be the worst take of all. Players sometimes treat YouTubers like prophets or oracles or even high priests of the meta. But newsflash, guys, even strong players are going to have personal biases. We're going to have pet units that we love. We're going to have preferred play patterns on different terrains and different metas and different list goals. Some of the times when we're talking about our local meta. Like, let's just say, for example, over here in Norway, forgive me, we actually really didn't have much Death Guard. So when Death Guard was all the rage and it was crushing everyone, I think we only had really 2 decent Death Guard players in the country. So it's like that meta didn't really hit us all that much. So if I were to come out and be like, oh, hey guys, Death Guard's not a problem. Yeah, Death Guard's a freaking problem. It's just not a problem where I am. Or if you listen to some other people, they might just be like, oh, this unit is absolutely busted because I had bad experience one time, which some people have absolutely done. Yeah, it's really dumb. It's just because they had a bad experience one time. That doesn't mean the unit is actually absolutely, completely busted. But a bad unit could be bad in their hands, or it could be amazing in your hands. So here's the correct mindset. Ask why the YouTuber thinks that a unit is bad, not whether or not they said it's bad. So if I want to give you, for example, a unit like the Kill Rig, which is absolutely abysmally and horrible, you should listen to my entire argument for why the unit is horrible and bad, not just, oh, it's bad. And I will rant for ages that the 10th edition Kill Rig is actually a bad unit, and I will stand by this, but you should listen to my logic behind it, not necessarily just me saying it's bad and then writing it off forever. All right, so if a top player says that a unit sucks, usually what they really mean is it doesn't fit my list, not my licks, but not that it can't win games. So let's just wrap this bad boy up and help you guys have a very happy day. mocking bad takes is going to help players grow. So I'm mocking some of these bad takes. That doesn't mean I've never had these takes myself. I totally have, and I've tried to correct them. This doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you said one of these things. I'm just trying to expose the logic and the thinking so that you guys can upgrade your own level of thinking so that you can be better players, because I really want to just raise the skill level of 40K around the world. So that's the list, guys. Top 5 worst takes, plus 2 bonus ones that deserved an honorable mention because they actively melt brain cells. What I want you to do is let me know in the comments down below which one of these complaints you hear the most or what you've been guilty of. And no shame here, we all start somewhere. The whole point of this channel, like I said, is to help you improve while having a laugh at the nonsense that floats around the community. And if you want help leveling up fast, please check the links in the comments down, or the description down below, not comments. Join our Discord or dive into some coaching calls where we can absolutely level up your gameplay. So I'm going to catch you in the next one, and I hope you all have a very, very amazing day. Happy crumping. Bye-bye.